Also, so here we have Shruti cleared PMP exam. She nailed it. Now the journey of every PMP aspirant is just amazing, and I love to record it. I love to know how they did it. Now, it is very important, Shruti, that no one can copy your entire journey and they cannot understand the way you went through. But they can take the lesson learned that your journey will teach them. They can take those lesson learned and they can implement that in their life and they can become certified PMP in the minimum possible time. In China, a 5,000-year-old guru says that if you want to master anything, the best way is to get a mentor. And by sharing this journey, I don't know, you are becoming to mentor of 100,000 or maybe 10,000. This is the beauty of this digital platform. So from entire PMP community, first of all, I would like to thank you and congratulate on becoming a certified PMP.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Shruti, why don't you share your entire journey, how you became PMP, what are the things, how you did it, all those things. Please share your entire journey.
Yeah, so I started in December. I took my ATP 35 hours training in December, and after that, I tried to study Rita and PMBOK both. Uh, and then actually I took my date in exam date in April, but due to lockdown and everything in India's situation, it got postponed. And finally, I gave my exam on 30th of June. Uh, so, so in these 6 months, I studied Rita, PMBOK, and then I gave lot of tried lot of question answers and question, gave lot of mock test. I used to just type in Google let free mock test for PMP 2021, and whatever comes, I just used to solve the questions. So
Okay.
at least 2-3 hours a day I used to study and uh, solve as many as questions possible. I
So,
also watched your most of your coaching calls and journey videos, and it was very helpful. And I took Udemy test of just Andrew. Then I took Yasin, I took yours, and I took Philip. So,
I
and I
remember when we were talking a few days back, and you told me, this is my score. And what was my answer to you?
yeah, you said that I'm telling you live that you will pass all with all three above target.
And did you pass with all three above target?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, that is like now that is the beauty of the thing. When you work with the mocks, like your journey can be evaluated. You can actually see these people, these he's gonna clear or she's gonna clear. Okay, let me talk about those mocks. So which mock was more relevant, since you didn't do prepcast, so we can eliminate that thing, and I am happy you didn't do the prepcast.
No, no, I did not.
So I'm happy that we are getting more and more people with our prepcast, because prepcast is an expensive resource. It's like
Yes.
$149, and I don't want all the people who don't want to pay to go there. So what one resource became the most important for you while doing the PMP?
So your coaching calls and then TDIP mocks.
So my coaching calls and traded mocks. Okay. So you haven't done the Wagday mocks, right?
No,
No, okay. So Tridib mocks. Now Tridib is a very good friend. Tridib Roy and his son. Actually, Ryan is his son. You know that? You have a lot of questions. Ryan. Basically, Ryan is his son. So we had a interview a few weeks back, and he told me that some female said that you're a feminist. You don't take any female name, only male name. And then he told the reason is that he's my son, so I am just using my son name to avoid any kind of confusion. Okay, so how relevant those mocks were to real PMP exam?
so solving lot of questions help in PMP. Uh, Not all the questions. No question is repeated in the PMP. So but pattern is similar and uh, you can really think how PMI thinks. So that way the mocks help.
So that way the mocks help. Okay. Now I really like that thing you just said. Uh, that even you do 10,000 mocks, and I had a student who actually before coming to me had done 15, 16 mock with me. He did basically few mocks. He has done more than 10,000 questions, and that was also his statement that even if you do all the question in the market, still there will be not a single repetitive question. All the question gives you concepts. Okay, so you did Rita and you studied Rita, which proves that you are a book reader. So how relevant Rita studying, or how important it was even today studying Rita? And Rita was 10th edition, right?
Yes, 10th edition. So actually, when I started reading Primbok, it was like very dry. I mean, I just could not go on reading those ITTOs. So Rita was very helpful clearing the concepts, and language is good. They have explained it very nice way uh, in the better than Primbok. That is. And after reading Rita, I cleared my concept, and then I started reading Primbok.
Then you started reading the PEM book. Okay. And of course, the coaching calls you attended that helped you a lot in these all these things, as you were saying. And in addition to that, did you watch my journey videos?
Yes, some of the journey videos because I was funding stakeholder and resource quite part very difficult. So I watched your stakeholder journey of stakeholder videos and journey of risk videos. So
So
that helped a lot.
So, okay. So, what was the most important, like how you used to study? Because you are like, just like Indo Pak, all the South Asian people, they like to write the thing. They like to make. I just a student Ilyas from India cleared few week back. He sent me a picture. His entire wall was PMP, 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 PMP. He put it there. So, what was your routine? How you were doing, Shruti?
No, actually, I don't really like to write down things.
Okay.
I go on reading the books like a story or something, and then I keep on reading, and every time I find something new in the book. So I think I read Rita almost twice completely, and also just before the day of the exam, I read Pimbok, went through the Pimbok almost complete Pimbok. So just skim through it, skim through the pages, and uh, read whatever important things you.
I really like the thing you said that you don't like to draw the things and not maybe even watching the videos. You like to read. This is the important point that is called self awareness. You know yourself, what you like to do. Like, this is very important thing, understanding how you learn. For example, you learn by reading the books, so you must read the books. That's a good way to put it. Okay, so Shuriti, uh, let's talk about the exam. You gave the exam in center or home?
Center based it was.
Your exam was center based, and in which city you are?
Currently, I'm in Hyderabad, India.
So Hyderabad centers are open, right?
Yes,
Okay, that easily you could get the date, because this is very important. There are so many Indians. I'm getting daily calls that in Delhi centers are not open because some areas are locked down and some areas are open. So this is important to know.
yes. So in till May, I was in Mumbai. I relocated to Hyderabad in June. So I had an exam on 23rd of April, which got cancelled. Then I took a date of 8th of May, which also got cancelled. Then I took 18th of May, that also got cancelled. So three times my exam got cancelled. So finally, I relocated to a different city. It was pre-planned, and here, fortunately, the centers were open.
Okay, the centers were
I
open. So
wanted to finish my exam before relocation, but somehow it could not happen.
okay, so that is a good thing that now in Hyderabad people, this is very important. All people who want to give the center, maybe go in Pune. Many of my students clear give exam in Pune. The centers are open there in Hyderabad. As Shruti is saying, centers are open. So that's a good thing to know, because flights are open most of the time. People can go there and give the exam. Okay. So Shruti, let's talk about the exam day. So you reach the center 30 minutes before. How much time before?
It was almost 40 minutes early I
40.
reached because I'm new to the city, so I started early.
Yeah. So you started earlier. So tell me about your strategy. How much time you took for the first 60 question, then 60, then 60?
So as you had said, you have to manage your time on the last week coaching call. I actually found that I finished first 60 questions in less than 60 minutes.
Okay.
So then
Okay.
I took some time to review, and at 70 minutes only I stopped. I took my break.
Okay. On 70
So
minutes.
and
Then
yeah, then next 60 also I finished almost in 1 hour. But I then again took some 15 to 20 minutes to again review all the questions, go through it, and whatever I had marked for review, I had just marked two or three, but I took consumed all the time to be sure that I am not getting anything wrong. So reviewing the questions.
okay. Next.
Next third break also same thing happened. I finished it in 60 minutes, and again the remaining time I used up to uh, just review the questions.
Okay. Okay. So
Questions
which,
were not lengthy.
okay, they are not lengthy. So which area was
Yeah.
most difficult? First part, second part, or third?
Um, Second part because it had a lot of drag and drop questions. First and last part on I had only one, and in between I had four or five,
How many drag and drop question did you get?
5 or 6.
Okay. And they were situational questions or they were directly definitions? What was there?
Uh, Not definitely not directly definitions. Some of them were situational. Some of them were you have to really think about it was KPI to track types of KPI. So it was you had to really think
You
about it.
really need to think about those questions, how those questions interact. Okay. So as a general, as the entire PMP exam is situational based. You don't need to memorize
Yes,
anything, right? You are a
right,
problem
right,
solver. You go there, you solve the problem. That's it. That's what PMP exam is all about, right?
right. All the questions were situational.
All the question are situational. Okay, let's talk about a little bit more about that. So now, how much exam was more towards agile and how much towards predictive?
So for me, it was like 50 to 60% agile, and every question mentioned that it is agile. Uh,
So did that help? Which I said, don't think agile or predictive, go for hybrid. Consider every question as a hybrid mentality. Did that help?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it definitely helped. But so where it was agile, you have to consider it. They had mentioned that it is agile. So
Hmm,
the project
hmm,
manager is using agile methodologies. But
okay.
everywhere they use project manager, not scrum master
Hmm,
or
okay.
that those terminologies.
Okay, okay, okay. So Shruti, now tell me about if we know four values of Agile, 12 principles of Agile, and framework of Scrum like product backlog, sprint backlog, those artifacts and flow. Is that enough for the exam?
Not really. There were some questions about the Kanban board. Then you have to know how change is how
Change
agile
is okay.
to.
Change is okay. My basically question is, do you need to know feature-driven development, test-driven development,
There was
acceptance-driven
a drag
development?
and drop question about feature driven and test driven development.
Hmm,
Uh,
hmm. So how many questions? One question. That's it.
One question.
Oh,
That's it.
you can take a risk on one question. What about lean and XP?
No lean and XP.
Okay.
Not for
So
me.
Shashwani is asking, did you get any question on MBTI, Myers Bridge, that thing?
No, no question on Tuckman ladder. No question on MBTI. No question on the
The
motivation
personality.
theory.
Hmm, okay. No question on those. What about critical path?
No critical path questions. I had some questions on value management. One calculation for run value, and but it was easy. I did not need a calculator also. It was
Okay.
very easy.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what about stakeholder and communications? Which sector was more like influence in the exam? Which was the less?
Uh, More was stakeholder definitely, and then I had a lot of questions on scope management and requirement management, and very few
What
questions on
were they
but
belong
resource
to predictive or agile?
predictive.
Ooh. So were they do you need to know about what to say tools and technique in order to answer that, or they were more
No,
situational?
no, they were situational questions. You have to know really know what are documents and what is their use, how
Okay.
they are
Okay.
used.
So that thing that
So
you need to
requirement eligibility matrix,
30,
RASI matrix,
yeah, that
how
the
they are.
thing that you need to know 33 documents and all 18 plans, that is important, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And what about risk?
Risk I had drag and drop, but not many questions, situational questions on risk. But I had a lot of questions on change also.
Okay, on change also.
Very few questions on communication, cost, and schedule management. And yeah,
Okay. So Subhashish is asking, is it preferable to give exams center based or online based for? So you gave exam since Subhashish, she gave exam in center. So why you were again choosing center based? What was your thinking behind it? I personally like center based. I don't want to have that internet or anything issue. What is your take on that?
yes, I think even in India sometimes electricity goes off. There are no sometimes internet connection is not stable, and then you can have some crop issues, and so that is why I had decided to take it in center run.
Okay, in the center only. Okay, so and you scope. Now, this is a very important thing. I would like to say this is the third student in a row who is saying that scope is coming more and more. And in addition to that, she is adding that requirement is also coming. What about schedule and cost?
Schedule and cost was very. I don't really think more than one or two questions.
Okay,
But
and
resource leveling and KPI, I had
so
few
you did
questions
get
on
question
KPI.
on resource leveling and smoothing.
Smoothing and resource leveling questions were there.
Because that is not a new PMI ATP material. And I have been now this we need to talk to PMI. They cannot ask what is not in the PMI material. But okay, it was one question. We can work on that. Okay, were there any question about compliance?
Compliance, yes, one question I think only.
One question on compliance.
Yeah,
Okay,
one on compliance, one on configuration management. That's it.
configuration. How many questions were on change request from predictive as well as agile?
Uh, Lot of questions on change request in predictive. Few questions in agile.
Okay.
4, 5 questions in agile, but 7, 8 questions in predictive.
Okay, okay. So anyone wants to ask the question, they can write down the chat box and I will ask to Shruti. So Shruti, you have given us a lot of time. So nearly more than 15 minutes. That is normally how much I record for an interview. So Shruti, one final question from my side. What one advice you would like to give to all PMP aspirant? Like we have a good audience watching on YouTube and maybe other on LinkedIn other. So what one advice in 1 minute you will give to all aspirants what they should do?
So I will say that solve as many questions as you can. It really helps to it increases your reading practice. You know how questions come in PMP, and it really helps to save the time in actual PMP exam.
Okay, solving more and more question and just to put the context for people, she did Tridip, she did my mocks, she did Yasin mocks, and in her opinion, and she did every free material. Of course, all my coaching call questions, which are nearly 1500. So, like give or take, uh, in her opinion, the number one thing would be my coaching calls and Tridip mocks. Right, Shruti?
Yes.
Okay. So one more thing, Shubhashish is asking, what was your success mantra? Like how many mocks you did answered? What percentage you got in the mocks? You got 70 plus in that trial, right?
Yes. Uh, in your marks, I got 80 plus, and in predictive, I got 90. In agile, I got 70. So,
So still my mocks are more difficult than any other mocks in the market, right?
uh, not really. I took your mock just 2, 3 days before the exam. So, all 6 mocks in 3 days.
Well done, well done. I really like it. You are really a warrior, Shruti. All marks in 3 days. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And
Thank you,
best
sir.
of luck for future endeavors. You are extremely hardworking woman, and I really like when a hardworking working woman who has child, family. With the Mangal Sutra, I can see you are married and all those things, and you are working so hard to clear the PMP exam. I really respect the women who are working, the family, and they clear the exam. You're a legend for so many people. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you,
Best
sir.
of luck in future endeavors.
Thank